stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming. I understand we have a little trouble with our TV, but it will be recorded so you can watch it later. They're very sharp. First of all, I want to congratulate Park Pride on the dedication of the Olwins Dinosaur Park. It's another nice addition to the park area. Unfortunately, I could not be there, but I understand they had a very good turnout. Also, Thursday evening, I accepted a photo and a key to the caboose from the Restoration Committee. This is another nice addition to Herman. If you haven't had an opportunity to go through the museum, it's not really large, but it's very, very well done. And it still seeking some donations. They are to finish the debt that they have spent on redoing that. Also, just a big shout out to our park department on the quick cleanup after the flash flood last week. They everything in the park is almost returned to perfect shape except for the ball diamond area, which they have some major replace some posts, and the bridge, the walk bridge across the creek, the concrete. They have to redo the ramp in that. But they worked very hard and got everything cleaned up, and just, I was amazed how fast they got it cleaned up. Unfortunately, we had to evacuate campers and so forth, but I just really appreciate the dedication that the people that we have working for the city, and I just wanted to recognize them. And the only other thing I was going to talk about, but I'm going to leave that to Lois, was the dedication coming up this Sunday. So that's all I really have. City Administrator report?
Yeah, along those same lines, I want to express my gratitude to all the city workers in the way they handled the flash flooding on July 31st. All the public work employees who helped with the cleanup, and the office staff who handled the calls regarding everything from stranded campers to water in the basement. It was a team effort, and I thank them very much. Along those same lines, other than a couple of tables and benches and a lot of playground mulch, the park came out of the flooding in good shape. Public work crews have been installing water lines along Washington Street. This will continue for a few more weeks. I know that blocking the street has inconvenienced a few residents, but please be patient. And this morning I was lucky enough to catch someone working at the new AT&T cell tower. He informed me that he was doing some diagnostics and hoped to be done with them today or tomorrow. After that, he sends a report to AT&T for their review. If everything meets their standards, the new tower should go live within the next 2 weeks. We can only hope. That's it, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, Brush and Pallet Club report on the bandstand. Lois?
I'm Lois Cruz, and I'm here on behalf of the Brush and Pallet Club. I happen to be president of that group, and I want to acknowledge other members of the group. Actually, we're a very small group, and about half of the members are here tonight, so I think that's a really great percentage. John and May Wilding, longtime members of the group, and John is our vice president. Dolores Granneman, of course, who is our secretary-treasurer. Walter Ells. Matt Wesselschmidt, one of the young people in our group, and Don Cruz. So I want to thank you all for being here. For some of you who are newer, some of you have heard some of this before, but I feel like I need to repeat it again. This group was organized in 1951, and it was initially organized to repair the rotunda in the city park, which was done at that time for $1,500. And our mission, of course, is to promote the arts and to preserve the culture of the Herman area. You may or may not be aware that the Brush and Pallet Club saved the Palmer Gentner and Straley houses back in the 1950s and 1960s, and then in 1978 gave them to the state of Missouri, and of course now that's Deutsheim State Historic Site. Now, I could talk at length about the Brush and Palette Club's activities through all these years, but Tricia told me I have 10 minutes, so I will try to keep it short. So I really want to focus on the last 15 years of activities by the Brush and Palette Club, because all of our activities in the last 15 years have been for the benefit of city properties. Everything that we have done during the past 15 years has been for restoration or renewal or reconstruction of city properties. Back in 2005, we began major restoration of the rotunda because it was slated for demolition, actually, because it was thought to be dangerous at that point, and we said, no, that really can't happen. So we set about, by many means, raising $378,000 for that project. It was completed in 2010. And right after that, then we started fundraising for restoration in the city cemetery. We've done about $152,000 worth of work in the cemetery over the period of 2013 to 2017, plus the Eitzen Crypt was done during that project. Much of that money was begged from Eitzen family members with the support of Brush and Palette Club, kicking off the fundraising and raising fundraisers. As you are probably well aware, there's still much work to be done in the cemetery. Now, our most current project, of course, is the bandstand. In 2004, there was also discussion by the City Council about possible demolition of that structure because it was getting to be in pretty rough shape. And at that time, the Brush and Palette Club rehabbed it. Our volunteers, in fact, I ran across a photo of John scraping paint, and it was all done by volunteer, largely done by volunteer work from the Brush and Palette Club, and we paid for the materials. Then we finished the rotunda, we worked in the cemetery as long as we had funds, it raised funds for. And then by 2015, the bandstand had once again deteriorated pretty seriously, needed serious attention. So we started raising funds in 2015 for that project, and of course we thought initially that it was going to be a restoration. In fact, last year when we were last here to talk with you, we were still talking about it being a restoration. That was like in May of last year, I think. But after much discussion and the old phrase of jihawing back and forth and discussion with contractors and investigation and so on, we finally conceded. And for the Brush and Palette Club, I have to say that it's a concession because our mission is to preserve the heritage, which of course includes heritage structures. But we conceded that in the best interest of having a structure, a bandstand, that would serve to preserve the musical heritage of Herman, that it probably would be in the best interest of everyone for us to construct a new bandstand, copying as closely as possible the last bandstand, which was already not the first bandstand, and using as much as possible modern, durable materials that would last for generations. And so we made that decision, and reconstruction began last fall. And as I hope you all are aware by now, it's finished. And the cost, just a few dollars short of $88,000, was greater than we had anticipated at the beginning. But we added a paved walkway, which you probably have seen if you've been there, which added quite a few dollars, but we think it was worth doing that. And I have to say I've heard nothing but good comments about it. We're very pleased, and we have to say hats off to Glenn Englert for just using the existing bandstand and one old photo from about the 1920s as his blueprint for creating a new octagonal structure. That's not like building a square or rectangular building. So, and we hope, of course, that you think it's a valuable improvement of city property. Now, you have all received an invitation to our dedication Sunday afternoon sharp. The dedication will begin at 2 o'clock sharp, and that will be followed by our annual ice cream social and with German heritage music provided by John Berkmeyer and a group of musicians that he's gathered together. And of course we hope that you'll be there. Bring your lawn chairs, please practice social distancing. We will be wearing masks to serve ice cream, et cetera, and we will be taking all precautions that we can. Like cookies will be bagged ahead. They will not be out on plates for everybody to pick up. So we do hope that you will come. And I have asked our mayor to keep his comments under 30 minutes. No.
No problem.
So we've completed those things, and for us in the Brush and Palette Club, we're kind of a crazy little group. We finished a big project, and then we just kind of look around at each other and say, well, what's next? And, well, let's take a break. No, what's our next project? So a couple of things on the horizon that involve city property that aren't huge dollar amounts like these last projects is that we do plan signage for in the Upper City Park, because we have the rotunda, the bandstand, the Eitzen Monument, and the stone structures that we get questions about, and we feel like there needs to be some kind of explanatory sign for those four things. We'll have to work with the park board, I guess, to decide just exactly where we will place that. And then we also are currently looking at rehabilitating the Real House down on Gutenberg. That little structure and the one over on Fifth and Mozart, it's really a visible remnant of the history of firefighting in this community. Not just of the volunteer fire department, because at that time it was really under the auspices of the city of Herman. So we think it's worth looking at, rehabilitating if that's possible. Again, putting a sign on it explaining what it is. Many folks don't even know it's a Real House.
And each one of those had a hose cart in them, what they
Yes.
call a hose cart.
Yes.
Pulled the hose.
And the one on Gutenberg Street was requested by the shoe company. The shoe factory was there where the amphitheater is now, and they came to the city requesting that. But I don't want to tell you all the history ahead of time. I'll wait and see what happens. So no promises at this point until we have more information. Questions?
The bandstand looks fabulous.
Everything looks fabulous.
Well, I feel like Glenn just did an extraordinary job on it.
Are you sure it's structurally sound? I thought you might want to test it, if you get something up there to make some god awful noise to test it. I noticed that a local bass player, that's the one venue he's never played. Maybe you could get him up there to play for a while. If that don't knock it down,
Well,
play for everybody.
hopefully it will be used now going forward. I mean, seriously, I hope it will be used for all different kinds of groups. We thought for this event it was appropriate to have German heritage music, and of course early on John Berkemeyer had said, when you dedicate that bandstand, I want to have an old group together to play. So, and he's doing it pro bono, so it's good.
Well, looking forward to it.
Anybody else in the group, anything to say?
Hats off to you, and thank you very much for all that
Thank you.
do.
Hope to see you Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Citizen comments, we have Mary Kutzman.
Good evening. I'm Mary Kunzman, and I want to be very clear that I'm speaking tonight as an individual resident. I'm not representing any organization or committee or commission or business or club. This is me. First, just a little bit of my background. I was born in Herman. I was raised on a farm just south of town until I married in 1965. My husband and I moved to Herman again in 2003. So we've lived here now with my mother, Geneva Brink, who's 101, by the way. My father was a farmer and a teacher, teaching science and math here in Herman. And I suspect that a few of you remember him, because he was here for almost 25 years. He taught me to learn the facts, to listen to experts in a field, to be kind to others and help my community when I could. He also reminded me not to be distracted by what I wanted to be true. So I'm here this evening to ask you to take a stand to protect the individuals in our community from coronavirus disease 2019. You will have to decide what that stand looks like, whether it's education, about what the state guidelines are, a pledge program like the state has, or a mandate. I don't know what it will look like. That's your job. But I think it's your job to take some action. Because I, as an individual, can't do it by myself. No matter how careful I might be, a single maskless person who thinks he or she might have a seasonal allergy and coughs on me could give me the illness. I have 3 points I'd like you to consider. First, when you make a decision about a medical matter, you should listen to medical professionals like Dr. Rothernick and Dr. Parker and Mr. Lair of the Health Department. You don't need to listen to people who are not medically trained. I think you should consider the downside of making some requirements and the downside of not making requirements. So for example, just basic mask wearing. A downside to requiring that people wear masks is that it's inconvenient. You can't understand me as clearly as if I weren't wearing a mask. I'm hot. I don't like it. Certainly, some folks, if we're requiring masks, some people might go shop somewhere else. And some visitors might not come to Herman if they have to wear masks. And some people would be offended politically. But let's look at the downsides of not requiring people to wear masks. More people will get sick. And it wouldn't be only our elderly. I just found out Friday of a teen in Herman who's tested positive. And if our hospital staff gets sick, enough of them, we might have to close the hospital. We just don't have backup. Unfortunately, some people in Herman could die. Now, some locals, if we aren't requiring masks, which we're not now, some locals would start shopping out of town. I'm doing that. I am one of the biggest shop in Herman people that live here. I don't go into stores here anymore unless the staff is wearing masks. And I have to say that I did warn the grocery stores ahead of time. I felt that was my responsibility. I have had one store who has changed its policy. I think that's very nice. And I will be going back there. I think we have some people who don't come here because they don't feel safe. And of course, there are people like myself who are offended politically. So, to me, the political disapproval, the number of visitors who come or don't come for whatever reason, that's kind of a wash, no matter what you do. So it seems to me the choice is between inconvenience and sickness and death. To me, that's not really a choice. Now, I've heard some people say that it's their right not to wear a mask. And I'm in favor of rights. I really am. It lets me speak here tonight and speak my mind. And I'm even willing to say that a person has a right not to protect his or her own health. But if you're not wearing a mask, I'm protecting you by wearing this mask. I'm not protecting me. And that's why when I'm done speaking, I'm leaving the room.
Yeah. How much longer you have? Your buzzer went off a little while ago. I don't want to cut you off, but
I wasn't aware I was under a time frame. If not wearing a mask endangers me, then I don't think it's your right not to wear a mask. I think it's up to you as leaders of our community to listen to the overwhelming message from reputable health experts, such as the Mayo Clinic, the National Health Organizations, and our local professionals, that we should stay home as much as possible and then wear masks and keep distance, that we can't stay at home. Our country has a lot of experience with making laws and rules and guidelines for the good of the many, even though it might not be convenient for the ones. The most obvious to me is the drunk driving laws. A lot of people think they know when they say, well, I just hurt myself. Well, no, they don't. They hurt other people. And I seem to remember a law or two about lodging that you've talked about and passed recently that people didn't agree with. I didn't really want to come here tonight. I don't like controversy, but I knew my dad would have wanted me to remind us of the lessons he taught us. So I ask you to get the facts, ask the experts for help, and then take actions that will protect our community. If you can't please everybody, and Dave and I have had this conversation before, then why not stand up for what's best for the health of the whole community?
Thank you.
Can I say something?
You may.
The paper last week had a great section on the coronavirus and things we could do. And there are things from doctors. Yes, she has it right there. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you read it. And I thank the paper for doing that.
Anything else? Let's move on to ordinances.
So the first, which is on for second reading, is bill number 2020-20, which would be an ordinance to amend section 500.020C of the Herman Municipal Code regarding building address numbers. So this has been revised again slightly. We took out the visible or within 50 feet of the street or the curb. So now it just basically says that everybody has a duty to have address numbers that are unobstructed and sufficient size to be easily viewed from the street, and if it's 4 inches, then it meets that test automatically.
But existing numbers that are less than 4 inches are not a problem, right? That's what we want.
As long as they're unobstructed and easily viewed from the street.
That's what we need. I move 2020-20 second reading.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2020-21 for first reading, an ordinance to approve a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission municipal agreement.
Any discussion on that one?
Can we explain to the citizens what this is?
Well, I believe it's the city giving the highway department permission to use our right-of-way during construction of the paving of the lanes through Herman
And guardrail
and
upgrades.
guardrail upgrade.
Everybody understand that? Do I have a motion to accept 2020-21?
I'll make the motion that 2020-21 has been read.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Move on to resolutions.
All right, the first is resolution number 1287, which is a resolution to approve a one-call agreement with Air Methods Corporation for emergency air medical services.
Basically, this is just an agreement with the helicopter and our dispatch center for the communication aspects of it, for those that,
They take care of the most efficient way of getting the helicopter here, basically.
there you go, pretty much in a nutshell.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion has been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
And the next is resolution number 1288, a resolution to approve standard operating procedures for Harmon Communications with those attached, and a memo from here.
For those that are listening, this is just a job description basically of everything that goes on in our communication center, of how they are supposed to handle situations, weather alerts, and help them with the fire department, ambulance, and the police. Any other questions? Have a motion to approve that resolution?
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll move on to old business. Any old business?
I would like to, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I guess it's old business, but I want to thank the PD for, during the flash flood, they got out there and got the campers out, patrolled, got the street blocked off, and helped every way they could. And the fire department came out and helped back them up. They did an awesome job. Thank you, Chief.
Something the mayor touched on, he did fine, but I don't think he went quite far enough. It's been about 6 years ago since I was approached to becoming an alderman by then Alderman, now Mayor Bruce Cox. At the time I took the job, I wondered what I got into because there was an awful lot of negativity in town, a lot of it surrounding our park system. Over the next year, there was a lot of changes made. One, the voters were nice enough to remove one of the major sources of the negativity. And the second thing was, a group of ladies got together to help with our park system called Park Pride. They've done a fantastic job. I'm not going to mention names because there's too many names, and if I forget somebody, they're going to get mad. Over the last several years, the people of this town really came together for our park system. They donated time, money, materials. It was just an amazing chain reaction that started with a couple phone calls. 3 different sections of our park system were basically completely rebuilt because of that chain reaction. A lot of other things, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Because of their time and efforts and of the people that donated, all of them, I don't want to leave anybody out. Money was freed up in our park system to make other improvements. When I came on, I was basically told our swimming pool was dead. We couldn't afford it anymore. The kiddie pool was ruined. We couldn't afford to replace it. Improvements were made to that pool because of what took place and the money that was freed up. Other people helped pay for this. It was just an amazing deal. Every chain reaction needs a catalyst, and Park Pride was it. They got this town off their dead butts, and things got done. The lady sitting across from me was a major part of that. I'm not big on speaking for the entire town, but if you see these people, tell them thank you, because they really did a fantastic job. So that's all I wanted to say.
Park Pride, yes.
And to add to that, the sad part of that is Park Pride is no more as
Saturday
an
was the
organization. They overwork themselves, I think is what you might say. I mean, they have families and things to take care of too. But
You got
yes.
mothers,
Yeah, a lot of them had
grandmothers, they were all volunteers, and they gave it themselves and their time.
And they did
to
a
get this
wonderful
going.
job. So now it's time for somebody else to step up and do something. Okay. We will move on. New business. Any new business?
I have some. I talked with Mark about it a little bit. The sidewalk over Market Street over Spring Creek, walking it the other night, it's even worse. It's dangerous. I could see somebody tripping in one of the little holes and falling, and Mark was going to check into that.
And I did.
Yay.
Preston Kramer said they're not going to do anything to the walkway until the bridge gets replaced.
They're not even spraying the weeds on that
It
bridge.
is their bridge and their walkway, and they said that there is no plans to improve that sidewalk at the present time.
And what can you tell us? Who is Preston Kramer?
The district MoDOT engineer.
I have his phone number if you'd like.
I would.
Any more discussion on that?
Well, if somebody falls, then is it on them?
I explained to them that it was rough, and we had a couple of people in wheelchairs that used it. He says, well, it's never been ADA compliant, so that doesn't matter. Not that way, but he said that. So they're not, they don't have any plans to resurface that sidewalk anytime soon.
All right, I'll take that phone number after this. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. for
You're
checking.
welcome.
Okay,
I'll tag on to this kind of connected, but I know Alderman Fairbury brought this up last year about our deteriorating parking lot out here in front of the city offices and the lack of lighting. Are we moving somehow towards to get lighting out there? Because I think we did have some people fall.
We can't get the lighting, and I will reiterate to Jesse that we need those posts set out there. The concrete out there is bad, I know, and it would be quite expensive. I don't think we have the money in the general fund to attack that just yet.
Well, if there's a light out there, at least people can see what they're about to triple.
Right.
I don't care about decorative, just light it up.
Right.
okay.
Two things. In our last utility bill, there was a flyer in there that upset some people about swimming pools around town. Needing a permit, a building permit to have a swimming pool. I'm not arguing with the rules. The problem was, nobody on the board of Aldermen knew that flyer was going in there, so it kind of caught us off guard. We've since researched it and looked at it. The reason it was in the flyer was at the behest of our building inspector. The city of New Haven got the same flyer. The rules read, an in-ground pool is a construction project, you've got to have a building permit to put one in. That's not even questionable. Above-ground pools must contain more than 6,000 gallons of water. If they do, that's a pretty much permanent structure, and you've got to have a building permit for it. Just as a rule of thumb or a scale for you all, if you're wondering how that big that is, a 16-foot diameter pool with 4 feet of water in it holds exactly, well, not exactly because the ground take or whatever, but right at 6,000 gallons of water. Now, that's an awfully large pool. I don't know of too many in town above-ground pools that are bigger than that. But that is the scale. Anything smaller than that, you do not need a permit for. You don't need them for wading pools. You don't need them for these pools you buy at Walmart filled with water and they raise up. You don't need them for that. They don't hold that much water. So I hope that clarifies that for everybody.
It does for me because I haven't.
Well, you're the first person I saw when I saw it. Susan's got one in her
It
backyard.
only holds 5,313 or something, I checked.
Okay. A second one, after all these storms and everything, this happens. Out-of-town contractors show up. They come to your house telling you got damage to your property, you need your roof repaired. Anytime someone comes to your door offering to sell you something, do work for you, and you don't personally know them, ask them for a business license, a city business license. They have to have that, or they're not operating legally. If they simply just come to your door and ask you if they can do work for you, without you having contacted them, they need a soliciting license. They need to have a special license to go door to door and solicit business. Anytime someone comes to your door and you ask to see that license and they don't have it, immediately call 486-2211. That is our central dispatch here, and they will send an officer to check them out. Never ever hand these people money or a check. Always check them out first if you don't know them. These people might be very reputable people, but there are a lot of scam artists out there that will take advantage of people who are down from storm damage and just feel they don't have any other options. So please, everybody, ask for the license, and even if you're just a little suspicious, call our dispatching. They will check it for you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to motions. Have a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Invoices for payment.
Move we pay the bill.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So, okay, let's appoint John Buckner to the Tree Commission.
I make a motion to approve John.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Approved bid from Lankby Trenching and Excavating for West 18th.
Move to approve.
Well, I was gonna say, does anybody need any explanation of what that's about? I mean, what we're doing?
This is part of our project streets. It's the first step in getting these streets fixed and paved. This is the first project.
I understand, but I
Okay.
This is a big one because we're going to be doing the intersection in concrete. We're improving the stormwater and adding curb and gutter, along with paving. So it's rather expensive, but
this is the big project.
That's the big-
This is the start of our taxing. Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. You notice I have a new hammer. Is it loud enough?
I'm glad Jim's sitting next to you.
Well, then we're 6 foot apart.
Reports, let's move. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, man.
yeah, I can just leave it out here.